Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is BucketPonds and my name is Terry. Today I have some very sad news. Due to an unfortunate mistake on my part, we have lost two or even three of our latest jar aquariums, our latest ecospheres that we built. The wine jar in particular, which was beautiful. It was my best ecosphere so far. I'm very sad about this. I know that they are just jars of plants and things, but to me they're a very big deal, and to lose them, to have them destroyed like this, it's hard to deal with. So let's go inside. Let's take a look at the ecospheres as they are now, and yeah, we'll have to say goodbye to them. But life will go on. We will continue to build new projects, new ecospheres and biospheres, and hopefully we can learn from this mistake, and hopefully I can prevent this from happening to you guys as well. So let's go take a look. Alright guys, so this is going to be a sad video. I'm going to try to keep it upbeat just to keep it interesting and watchable. I hope that you can forgive me if it's a bit depressing. But here we go. I usually use LED lights. This is my little shelf setup. And these are jars that we've been building this year, along with a few that I've had for quite a while. But I usually use these LED lights, and they are very cheap, very effective. But I thought, why not increase our lighting with these very powerful bulbs here? They're like 3,400 lumens, I believe. And I thought, we need better lighting for the videos. Plus, the better lighting might help supplement the natural light of that window and help our plants grow. This did work. It caused a lot of growth, but it also caused a lot of heat. And I actually pulled my lights a few feet away from the jars, a few feet further back than where they are now, and I thought that would be fine. But I happened to get pretty busy with my day job, and I just happened to come in here one day after taking a short break from, working on these projects, and it was too late. My jars had been cooked. It's really sad. I am extremely depressed and embarrassed. This should have never happened. This wine jug here, this was our best ecosphere that we've ever built. It was beautiful. It was pristine. It was a paradise inside. And now it's just a jar full of green algae, green water algae. This algae is flourishing now because of all the unclaimed nutrients and material that is breaking down inside of the water. This is a sealed ecosphere, but I will have to open it up and dump this material into a bucket pond or into some kind of outdoor container. Normally, I would never open my sealed ecospheres, but in this case, with all this material decaying inside, I am a bit worried about an explosion. And that sounds funny to say, but it is possible. It's happened once or twice on the channel before. Honestly, you guys, I wasn't even going to make this video, but I can't just pretend it didn't happen. I can't just never show you the wine jug again. That wouldn't be right. So I hope that's what sets us apart from the larger channels with those millions of views. If I make a mistake, if a tank works out badly, I'm going to show you. We're going to talk about it. And I just try to be genuine. I try to be open with you guys. This other jar here was also affected. This is an open jar aquarium. I call it a biosphere. That's my term for open jar aquariums. But this was built to test the black cow material, the black cow manure. I know it's nasty to say, but it's very clean material, really. But this was built to test the black cow material in a jar aquarium. Unfortunately, it was also cooked by the heat of those lights, and it's destroyed my experiment. I'm going to have to put this outside as well. I'll add it to a catch-all bucket pond. We might talk about that in another video. But yeah, I'm going to have to try again. I'll have to test it again. I hope that you guys are ready to watch another black cow jar aquarium build video. I'll set it over here for now. Luckily, most of our other ecospheres and jar aquariums on this shelf were not affected. We had some slight damage to this ecosphere here, which, honestly, I forget the name of this one. I did not label it. So always label your jar aquariums. But this one has survived. There are still ostracods and a few small snails in here. Most of the plants above the surface were actually burned pretty badly, which is pretty sad. But the jar itself is still alive as a superorganism. It's still thriving, so we're going to call that one safe to continue.
those plants that did burn up at above the surface of the water, they will fall into the water and become a food item for the ostracods and snails. It'll be fine. But I'm pretty broke up about this, you guys. I don't really care if someone makes fun of me for being sad about losing an ecosphere like this. Most people won't understand. People I try to talk to about it in real life, they don't get it. You know, they don't understand the feeling of losing a project like this. Like this, each one of these jars here, they are like a pet to me. You know, it's full of different organisms and different things and plants and algae and such. But to me, it's one thing. It's a super organism. It's a pet that I have to care for, and especially the sealed jars. You know, I don't open them up, but I do ensure that they get the proper amount of light and they stay at around the right temperature for, you know, life to succeed. And when I lose one of my pets like this, it's a big deal, you know? The first version of this voiceover was really sad. I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty broke up, you guys. You know, I was almost in tears talking about it. I know that sounds so dumb. I'm a grown man, but it is what it is, you know. But let's look at a few of our other ecospheres. This one was set up as part of episode 2 of the weekly build series, and this one was actually built off camera because I lost the footage, but it looks fine. Honestly, the slender spike rush, that's the green stringy material, the spike rush has done extremely well in here. It has escaped the water column and it's growing all over the walls of the jar. That's really cool. And here's the other one that we built for episode 2. This one was built on camera in essentially the same way. They're almost identical. And we have a few small creatures in here, but it looks like we needed more water. Now, you see, it's good for an ecosphere, a sealed aquarium like this. It's good for it to have a fair amount of atmosphere, of air inside. But in a small jar like this, the 50-50 water to air ratio doesn't work out so well. It's because there's not enough water to support a ton of aquatic organisms. So if you're building ecospheres in small jars, you want to go for about 60%, maybe even 75% water to about 15 to 25% air, something like that. You know, 3 parts water, 1 part air, roughly ratio. But I'm pretty glad that the other tanks weren't affected. This is the tank that we built in episode 1 of the weekly build series. And yeah, it's alive. It's okay. There's a few small creatures darting around inside, probably some kind of paramecium or other unidentified small creature. And our dayflower is in there trying to grow. It looks a bit empty, but as it is, the duckweed is alive, the plants are alive, and there's at least some motion from organisms inside, so I'm going to keep going with that one. This one in the background I actually set up before we started the weekly build series, and this has become my new favorite ecosphere. And this is a large bottle with a sealed locking lid, and this has sheet moss inside along with duckweed, water meal, and some other items. But this project has done very well. It was not affected by the heat of those lights, as it was closer to the window. This is I can't remember what direction this window faces. West? I believe this is a west-facing window. I had to think about that for a minute. But it gets mostly in direct sunlight throughout the day, so it doesn't bring in a lot of heat. These jars don't get very hot. And my lighting that I use to make the videos, it does supplement the growth a bit. But as you can see here, that sheet moss is done exactly as I have described. You'll hear me talk about it on the channel quite a bit. On dry land, it grows into like a flat sheet, you know? But underwater, it reaches these long strands up, and it forms a bit like a forest or something. It increases the surface area of the material in the jar, which allows for more bacteria to grow. And I believe it does this because it can't rely on spores to spread, to reproduce. So it instead relies on what is essentially a vegetative growth, you know? Like if I were to cut this plant and put that cutting somewhere, it would grow again. But, you know, most plants would make seeds, but you have other plants that don't even rely on seeds. They rely on cuttings, essentially. And I believe that's what that moss is doing in the background there. So luckily, not all of our ecospheres were affected. But I do need to build a whole new setup, you guys. I want to redo this. My little workshop shelf here is pretty rough, and it is full of jars at this point. I need to increase the storage area that we have, and I need to increase the ability to light these jars so that they grow well. So I will hold on to these light bulbs. We will use them in future projects. But as it is, I want to take one more moment to take a look at the beautiful wine jug, the wine jug Ecosphere, the $0 Ecosphere, I believe it was called. This was beautiful, man. This was my best project so far in like 3 years. It was gorgeous inside. All of our snails and our worms and everything was thriving and growing. And it's so sad to know that I had made a mistake and we've lost it. It's hard to talk about, guys. I know it's just a jar of plants and stuff, but to me, this is a pet. This was something that we lovingly put together. We carefully planned out, and it's so sad to lose it because of a simple mistake. So remember, I have a bad habit of building my ecospheres and then letting them sit on their own and not, messing with them too much. But if you're in this hobby, make sure you check on your ecospheres every day. Just come up and touch the glass. Make sure they're not extremely hot or extremely cold. Be very careful if you change your lighting setup. Just be mindful of what you do. But here she is one last time. And fear not, anything that might still be alive in here will have a second chance at life outdoors in a brand new bucket pond. Maybe I'll build that on the channel. I don't really show the bucket ponds too much because it's literally a bucket full of plants and stuff, I can't like get down in there, and they're not transparent, so you can't see too much when I actually work with the bucket ponds. We have to take samples and things. But let's say goodbye to the wine jug ecosphere. It's really sad, and fear not, we still have another wine jar of the same design, and we still have this one after I empty it out. We will rebuild, life will go on. We will build something even better. That is my promise to you guys. That's my promise to the pets inside. And just one more time, guys, I'm sorry. I looked forward to showing you this jar as it developed over years. But we're going to build something better. So please like, subscribe, drop a comment, and let's say goodbye to the Wine Jug Ecosphere.